I'm sorry, Jacinta. Did you have start playing the video, because I'm not seeing it playing?
You're not seeing it.
I'm seeing the screen, but the video has not started playing. Okay, it's okay now.
Wait.
I'm seeing.
You can see.
Yeah, I can see now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jacinta, I'm not sure
Yeah?
if I'm the only one who's not hearing the audio.
Sorry?
Not sure if I'm the only one who's not hearing the audio.
So I don't know, can everyone hear my voice?
Yeah, we can
So
hear your voice, but we can.
You can't hear the audio. And it's loudest. And right now?
Even right now, I'm not hearing what he's saying.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's sad, because I thought you guys would be able to hear, but you were hearing before, like previously. Okay, so anyway, I'm sorry that you can't be able to hear. I'll be able to share that video. So or I can share it through to your chat. Just give me a second. So when you have time, you can listen to this video.
Yeah, because Jacinta, you've tried screen sharing it. It's not working?
It's working, but they're saying the audio is what they can't hear. They can just see the person, but they can't hear the audio. So I'm not sure if it's on my end, but you don't have to play it right now individually. But I just like you guys to listen to it. I don't know why it's not working, but when I don't know, Sarah, would you like to try and share your screen? I don't know.
Yeah, let me try and see if it works.
Because it'll give us a good intro to the topic for today. Yeah. Let me see if Sarah's will work. Please.
Sorry, just 1 second. Okay. Share screen. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to share now. Just you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see a screen. Yes.
Yeah, I'll try play this off my sound and then see if you guys can.
Yeah, and I can hear.
And you can see as well?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah. Just play. Yeah, I can hear.
Hello, TEDsters. This is actually my third TED 3-minute talk, and it's great to be able to share my research, but you know, being known as the 3-minute guy is not always a good thing. Now, TED is all about ideas I'll try that over. Now, TED is all about ideas worth spreading. But many people think, I could never have an idea worth spreading. I'm not creative or artsy or a genius. Well, the good news is anyone can have super ideas. And the interesting thing is that many great ideas come when people do surprisingly simple things. So let's look at 4 simple ways to have super ideas. 1 is have a problem, because ideas are solutions to everyday problems. Richard Branson told me he had a problem. He was stranded in the airport after his flight to Puerto Rico was canceled. And to solve the problem, he got on the phone, called around, chartered a plane, sold tickets to the other stranded passengers, and actually ended up making a profit. The light went on, I could start an airline. And the idea for Virgin Atlantic was born. Sam Smith had a problem. He was really heartbroken after his lover left him. And then he thought, well, to get over it, I'll write about it. The light went on, and the idea for a song called Stay With Me was born. It went on to win 4 Grammy Awards and Song of the Year. So Sam went from very heartbroken to very happy, and the idea solved his problem. Number 2, listen, because ears are Wi-Fi for ideas. Dr. Jean Carruthers was injecting a patient's eyelids with Botox to stop them from muscle spasms. And the patient asked, "Why didn't you inject my forehead?" Jean said, "You don't have spasms there." The patient said, "I know, but every time you inject my forehead, I get this beautiful untroubled expression." Jean listened, the light went on, and she had the idea to use Botox to reduce frown lines and wrinkles. And from that one comment, a whole new Botox treatment came around that's now used by millions and valued at billions. Number 3, look around. Richard Feynman was a physicist eating lunch in the Cornell University cafeteria. And a student stood up and threw a plate across the room. Those crazy students. And Richard noticed as the plate spun through the air, the Cornell medallion on the plate seemed to be spinning faster than the plate. Well, he went away, got an idea, worked out the motion of the mass particles, whatever they are. And he said, looking at that plate was what won his Nobel Prize. Gee, I look at a plate and all I see is food. He looks at a plate and wins the Nobel Prize. So when it comes to ideas, IQ, spelled E-Y-E, often wins over IQ. As Marilyn Bossavant says, and she holds a Guinness record for highest IQ, to acquire knowledge one must study, but to acquire wisdom one must observe.
Sarah. Yes. So Sarah, I think you're muted, but thank you for sharing. So to the rest, what have you been able to capture before I continue? It's safe to ask, what have you been able to capture from what you have seen? So this is going to be a very interactive session, and you remember that there are points awarded to participation. So I need you to say anything. No answer is wrong. I want to understand what you've been able to capture from what we've seen. I think it's so I'm seeing Kamara saying he was talking about how to get good ideas. Samuel?
Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Our the video was a bit scrambled, but according to the video, the man was trying to display some ideas in which he made a scenarios in an issue of a flight. If you are a bit late, and then someone can find the solution towards that. That's by calling another flight that you will be on boarding to go there. So that's the solution and the problem. Problem is that the problem and the solution is being found wheresoever. So what I learned is that every problem have a solution. So that's my idea.
I can see it, Makore, please. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you so much. That's good.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. All right. I have made an observation that planning is not a 3-minute thing. I time to plan and also to implement an idea.
Okay. So if you notice, Dylan, go ahead.
Hi everyone. Good morning. Something that I realized when he talked about 4 ways of having a great idea, he talked about having a problem, listening, and looking around. So one thing that popped to my mind is most of the solutions that we come up from, we should move from a comfort zone, like the example of listening, whereby we have a traditional way of doing things, where we know which things are done like this. But when you listen to people, you get to see the problem, and you get to find a solution to what people are used to and to what people think how things can be done better. So when you listen to people, you get a new idea from how we do.
That's so nice. Thank you so much, Dylan. And thank you for all those who have participated. Sandra, your hand is up, but I'm not sure if it's from the previous time or if you would like to say something now, because it's been up since the last time you spoke. Okay, so I'll assume that's from the last time. I can see through the chats, Kamara says he showed that all problems can be solved when you get the right way to think about an idea that can solve it. Okay. So I think one thing for me that I can say stands out, and I'll also let Sarah maybe give a point, is the fact that if you look at all the people, first of all, I'm sure you know Sam Smith, or most of you should know him. And the song, Won't You Stay With Me, is a song he sang when the girlfriend left him. I tried to give a video that I knew we could all relate to, things that we have seen, people who we famously know. And he sang that song when his partner left him. And it went ahead and gave him Grammys. He won Grammys out of it. But if you think about it this way, right now, anybody who listens to that song gets some sort of comfort from it, okay? If you look at Richard, the guy who made the Virgin Airlines, right? Up to now, from the time he came up with that solution, it's things we are using up to now. So my point is, the solutions that that they are coming up with, the ideas that they are bringing out, and the solutions that they are coming up with, if you can see, they are long term, and there are things that we are doing up to now. Okay, there are things that we are using up to now. There are things that we engage with from time to time. Okay. Sarah, I don't know what stands out for you, Sarah, from the video.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's just to see how all these people had, what do you call them, like that's Eureka Moment, and they were inspired by things happening around them. I think that's what I noticed for all of them. It was a moment of inspiration that just inspired the idea. Yeah, so I think it's the same experiences for all of us, just finding those moments, either it's in our projects, in our, the things around us, and finding those moments that actually inspire us and making those ideas tangible. Yes. And also the fact that it's a process and it takes time. Yes. But that was a good, the music one was good.
Yeah. And if you could think about it, most ideas are always random, okay? And I'd like to share with you the screen of what we had prepared for you today. So can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. So we're doing what is called ideation. And if you can think from the video you've just seen, ideation brings about a word that's called ideas, right? It's idea, and then TION is added to it. So that's the ideation, okay? And just an overview, who can try and define, this is an interactive session. I wouldn't be speaking by myself. So who can try and define what ideation is? Anyone?
I think it could be a process of coming up with ideas.
Okay, that's good. Yes, and it's as simple as what you just said. And like I always tell you guys, there's no wrong answer when we are doing this facilitation process. It's about trying, and it's about being as open as possible for us to just guide you through the right path. Okay, so we can start by saying what are ideas, right? And ideas are the starting point of the creative solutions to your identified challenges. And when we talk about, and why do we need ideas? Yes, it says, once we know what are the obstacles we are facing, we use creative ideation to find solutions to overcome these obstacles. And the reason why we are at the ideation process is because we have already taught you about defining the HCD part. We have taught you about insight generations, right? And so now you know the problem, you have an idea why they are facing that problem, and you want to help this community, this group of people, find solutions to the problem. And so you come to this process that we call ideation, and you're coming up with this solutions to certain challenges that you've seen our community is facing. And that's what I was hearing from Ebenezer mentioning, okay, we're trying to do tree planting. And you would hear me ask him, did you go through through the research process? Do you have any insights? That I was curious to know, how did he know that this is how we can solve this problem? This is how we can overcome this. With whom has he been able to communicate with, and how has he gotten these solutions? That's why I was trying to gather information from. So during the ideation process, you're generating ideas. But if you can see the picture that is beside me, it's showcasing to you that you can't be as an individual when you're doing this, okay? Okay, you can't be alone when you're doing this. You have to have people with you. And you can see that it's a process. It's involving people, okay? It's involving a set of people that are seated together trying to see who does what. And Sarah can tell you that even when we go through our ideation process, we are never alone, okay? We have our stakeholders in mind, okay? And when we sit down to kind of see what can happen, what can we do about this, we're involving everybody who we know will be affected directly with the project, okay? And so on this page, you can be able to see how the process comes about. So the first stage is you generate an idea. The second stage is idea evaluation and selection, okay? So one thing I'd want you to know is, okay, after this slide, I will show you another video so you can understand. But I'd like you to know that when we are going through this process, you cannot shut down anybody else's thoughts. So you're seated in a room, many of you, okay? And many of you, I mean, the stakeholders who you know will be using the product or the service that you will come up with, the community members will be there. So you'll have like, I will use, for example, say think place, who is Sarah and Jacinta, are your donors, for example, okay? So we come in as your donors, and you are the HCD designer, okay? And where you're working within your community, you have community members. So when you're doing the ideation process, you sit down. When I say stakeholders, I mean the community and the donor who will fund the idea that you come up with. And in as much as we are coming to sit down to kind of listen to maybe the insight generation, because how the process happens is you're able to present what insights you were able to find in the field when you went for your research, okay? So after you've presented them, then everybody who is directly involved in the project begins to say, I think this might work. I think this might work. And there are such random moments, and that's why it's called idea generation, where everybody gets a chance to put in like their ideas, to give out their thoughts, okay? And this, everybody is just randomly speaking it out, okay? They're saying, I think this will work, I think this will work, okay? And after you guys have many ideas put together, you then go through this part where it's called idea evaluation and selection, okay? So you guys have all sat in a room, you guys have started to say, we think this will work. So now you're looking at it from a perspective of, when we go to the community, what looks, nothing I can say, the best word I can use is realistic, okay? You start looking at the realistic part of it and the long-term part of it. As you're thinking about, we can do this, but now you look at the ground, what I can say is cost against impact, okay? I hope I'm not losing you guys. And Sarah, you can help me by looking at the chat.
Renana is asking you to slow down a bit.
From the chat?
Yeah.
Okay, I will slow down. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm saying we are seated together in a room, we've gathered our thoughts, we've heard about the insights, and we're all dishing out ideas, okay? We're trying to find solutions to a problem. And I'll use an example of a project we did that was meant to help youth be able to easily access facilities so that they can be able to access family planning, okay? And so we sat down and we were asking ourselves, what's the easiest way to get a young person to want to go to a facility to have hear a conversation about family planning, and if not just here, even want to use a family planning method. And so many ideas came to mind, okay? There was, can we get another door which youth can use to enter the facilities? Because one of the insights we got was most youth were afraid to go to facilities because they would feel that if I use the main door, my neighbor will see me and they will report me to my mother, okay? And so that's something I can tell you, that's a kind of an insight, you know? So how do we help this youth who does not want to use the main door of the facility to enter to get family planning services? So we came up with an idea of, can we find another door, or can we put a tent outside that's specifically for youth, that's not in an open area, so that it helps youth to freely want to go and access family planning. You're understanding? So I'm giving you an insight, but I'm also trying to give you one of the solutions that we came up with through ideation process, okay? So many ideas came out, okay? Some were doable, some we could not do, okay? One other one that stood out for me during that process was helping the youth to get a yellow card. Now this yellow card, when you enter the facility, will have your name, your age, and the name of a youth nurse within the facility. Because some of the youth were afraid to use the facilities because they felt there was no young nurse who could relate to the kind of moments that they were facing in life at that time. And they would relate better if the nurse would have been younger, okay? And so there was an idea to have the yellow card, write the name of the person, have the age of the person. Okay, I can hear an echo, but I'm not sure why, sorry. Have the age of the person there and the name of the youth nurse. So when you get to the reception, when you showcase your yellow card, you're directed to the youth nurse within the facility, and you're able to get family planning services. So I'm trying to give you an insight against an idea that was generated, refined, developed, tested, and implemented, okay? So that I'm trying to take you through this ideation process that you're seeing down here, the 3 steps, up to the point where you get to testing and implementation. It's not just about finding solutions to problems. Okay, guys? You have to use the people around you. You have to use the resources that you have at hand. You can have so many ideas, but is it really logical and realistic to implement all of them? You need to ask yourself that before you dish out to say, this is the solution that I have. Is it long-term? Will it be something that even after your project is done and you want to pick up on another project, will the community still be able to use that idea? You know, if you ask yourself, you can be able to see that from the video we just watched, that people still listen to Sam Smith up to now, the musician. People are still taking flights from Richard's airline, right? And you have to think long-term. You have to think of solutions that will be used way beyond. If these guys, or if the people within the video we just watched passed on, we would still be able to use their products and services, okay? So I would like to ask Sarah, because my computer had a problem, to share the last video that I had sent to her, because I want you to kind of understand ideation process. So this is the last video we are sharing. Sarah?
Sorry, Jacinta, you want me to share the video?
Yeah, the last video on the Slack channel.
Ah, okay.
Please.
1 second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just opening it from YouTube.
Okay, it's the last one on the chat.
Yeah. The next step in the design thinking process is my personal favorite, ideate.
1 second.
Coming up with as many ideas or solutions to a problem as you possibly can.
Sorry, I didn't
So let's talk about the different ways we approach ideation in the design.
Sorry, it's playing off my
Yeah.
Slack.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Design thinking method. 1, we want quantity. 2, we want a diversity of ideas or solutions. And it's all about generating quantity and diversity. So,
Sarah, are you able to start it from the beginning?
in this process, the next step in the design thinking process is my personal favorite, ideate. Coming up with as many ideas or solutions to a problem as you possibly can. So let's talk about the different ways we approach ideation in the design thinking method. 1, we want quantity. 2, we want a diversity of ideas or solutions. And it's all about generating quantity and diversity. So we want to keep in mind in this process that it's quantity, not quality, that we're going for at first. We can determine quality later. The getting as many ideas out at the beginning is the critical part. And for that, we have to suspend judgment. And suspending judgment not only of our own ideas, but of other people's ideas, right? Just get them out on the table. In this process, you want to make sure that all the people that are collaborating and working in this process have a voice at the table. There are generally introverts in the room. And what you want to do is you want to come up with workshops or exercises within this process that helps them get their ideas and their voice on the table when they might not normally speak. And there's lots of great ways to do that. So you want to make sure that everybody is heard because everybody has ideas. Now, here's the critical point. The toughest point is that we want to focus on novelty over relevance in the ideation process. Now, you're probably thinking, well, if it's not relevant, what good will it do? From my experience in decades in the design industry, relevance is something that people do really, really well. You know, the relevant spreadsheet, the relevant, brochure, the relevant response to something. That's something that we operate out of constantly. It's the novelty that is difficult for most of us. And getting novel thinking, novel ideas out is the most important part. If we have novel ideas, and I always use the analogy of some of the products that Apple has created, who knew we needed the iPod, right? Who knew we needed the iPhone? Those were novel solutions, but were also relevant. And there's the sweet spot. I could do a whole talk just on novelty and relevance, but there's the sweet spot between novelty and relevance, and that's where we innovate. This we do really, really well. So in the ideation phase, we need to focus on novelty. Some of the ways, some of the methods and processes that we use in the ideation phase are mind maps, sketches, skits, storyboards, game storming. This is really great, and there's some great books out on this. Charrettes, where we actually bring in the users of our products to ideate with us. So this is just a few of the possible methods that we can use in this step of the process. But in a nutshell, this is ideation. And you always want to shoot for novelty first. No judgment, just novelty.
Thank you guys for thank you, Sarah, for sharing. So yeah, if you can see, who can tell me what is novelty? Because she has mentioned novelty over over importance. Okay,
Something
novelty.
new.
Yes, yes, yes. Which is what I have been encouraging you guys to do from the start. Okay, it's not just about coming up with solutions, but the solution has to be something that people have likely not used before, and it stands out, you know, because remember, if when we were going through to the facility, if we came up with 2 lines of people and just say, this is the lines for youth make a line here, and then older people make a line on the right hand side, and then everyone is just using that line to kind of just give me a minute, please. Okay, sorry about that. So, and then we're just saying youth are making a line here, and then we're saying elderly people above 18 years make a line on this other side, and they're all receiving family planning services. You see, yeah, we're trying to get a solution, but it's not something that's long-term. It's something that's short-term, right? Something that people will probably make the line the first time, but they wouldn't want to continuously be able to use such a solution for long-term. Okay. So, but by us coming up with solutions like, say, the card one, the use of the yellow card, that's something that's long-term. And it's unique, you know? The only people who know about the card is the nurse at the registration desk. And this nurse, we've already sensitized her to know that when she sees the yellow card, it's used to directly tell this person that this is a youth, direct her towards the nurse that's a youth for her or him to receive family planning services, okay? So you have to be very unique, stand out with what solutions you're coming up with, but also make sure that they are long-term, okay? And I don't know, could you give me ideas or tell me what has stood out from the presentation that you have seen? Before I mention one other thing that I have been able to hear the lady say. Come on, guys. Anyone? Because our time is almost out and I don't want to keep you for too long.
Okay. As all right. As for me, from the video, something that stood out to me is that when you're coming up with a solution, you should bring its quantity over quality first, whereby every idea or every voice should be on the table. You should come up with as many as possible ideas and put them on the table. That's what will help you to come up with an unusual or a new idea. Unlike just thinking for one idea and you just say, this is the solution, I'm going for it. So you should just get as many ideas as you can at first, then they come to the drawing board, then you take it from there.
Okay, I like that. That's very, very good. And that's why I was telling you that you can't do ideation by yourself. You remember me mentioning all stakeholders must be there. And in this sense, I was telling you guys, me and Sarah can be the stakeholders. YMCA can be the community people. I'm just using a direct example. And Dylan can be now the person who has gone to the field, who has done the research, and now He's coming back and he's trying to look for solutions to a problem, you know, and you gather us all in a room and you're listening to everybody's idea. You're writing it down, okay? And I will show you good. I will be able to show you how the setup of an ideation process looks like through the presentation I'll share shortly. But I can tell you, oh wait, I can see Fionn. Your hand is up.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's okay, but like I was kind of surprised because about the last point, novelty over relevance. I don't know, because there's this ad, I think, of Apple. They spoke about what you call, if everybody's like coming up with new ideas, then that means like, I guess less people are perfecting like existing things. So I'm kind of surprised that ideation thingy, novelty is I guess prioritized over relevance in the ideation. Okay, I'm struggling to like formulate the thingy.
The word. Okay.
Yeah, the sentence, but yeah.
So maybe I can also ask Sarah to jump in. Sarah, what do you think about novelty over relevance?
For me, I think definitely relevance is important, for sure. But the thing with novelty is also, I mean, you start with novelty, I think, of an idea, but then you look at, you know, is it relevant also? So when you're sort of like assessing it and trying to figure out how to, you know, make that idea or implement it or test it. But I think novelty is a good starting point, I think, because that's where big ideas come from. At first, an idea may sound very insane, but then when you test it, then you start to see how relevant the idea is or not. Yeah.
Yes. So it's not to say that it's not important, just as Sarah is saying, but it's to encourage both sides of the coin to be heard, okay? But remember how she was pointing out that the lady who was speaking, she said, if Apple had not been able to use novelty over relevance, we would not be having an iPad. And you know, all these sets of those tablets people use came after the iPad was generated, right? And it's using such ideas, or it's using such methods that have helped certain services or certain companies produce newer things or newer versions of things, you know? Like every time an iPhone comes out, you notice there's just a little thing that has been added or modified on the phone that makes it better, but it's just always more unique than the previous version of it. But something has been added to it, right? Like the camera is made better. It's a smaller version, but very slick, you know? Like there's just a little thing that they are looking at that's changing the version of the whole thing. And that's why they give it a new name. And then you have it become higher purchased than the previous products that you've had from the same company, right? And so it's looking at both sides of the coin. And so Fionn, you are right, relevance is key, but you'll find that even through your project process, novelty will also be something that you will have to be very keen on. So I'd also like to tell you guys that something that's really stood out for me, and I'll keep saying Sarah because we worked together. Me and Sarah sometimes are in a facilitation process where you find that they are introverts and they are extroverts, okay? And this will happen to you guys during your research process, and it will happen to you guys again during your ideation process. where you will call out people who you feel or you know can give you certain information. But when you get there, you find Jacinta is talking so much and Sarah is quiet. Okay? And so Jacinta might be talking, I'm giving ideas, but Sarah has this very unique idea that will make your project stand out, but she's so quiet. So I'd like to maybe just hear your thoughts on what would you do in such a situation. Before we give you our ideas or our solutions, like, what do you guys think you can do? Because during ideation process, you will face this. During your research process, you will face this. And that lady has actually told you that it's something that happens.
Mama. Where?
Sorry, Jacinta, you are muted.
Yes, because I want to hear some of your opinions. I've asked a question.
Sorry, could you please repeat the question?
So the question was, we talked about introverts and extroverts, right? And you've heard that during the process that there are going to be times you're in an ideation process, you're in a research process, and some people are more quiet than the others. So I'd like to hear some of the ideas that you guys will use to get the people who are quiet to speak up. Yes, Makore, speak.
Can I?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. What I can do is that I can make these people lead in group discussions. Like we just formulate a discussion, then put people into groups and put those people who do not want.
I think I've lost you, but okay, so I've heard partially what you've mentioned about trying a bit of group
who are
work.
not good at speaking to go and to explain their points.
Okay. So that's true. I like that idea of engaging these people through group discussions. Fionn, go ahead.
I think it would depend on like what kind of meeting it was or group thingy activity it was, but maybe I'd like give people an option to like write down their ideas, because sometimes people don't like having to speak up in front of people and having eyes on them. So maybe give people like the option of writing down their ideas.
Okay, yes, I also like that idea. So remember, Sarah is the quiet one, Jacinta is talking. You know, she's bouncing off ideas, and you want Sarah to talk, okay? So group work is one of them, but also, let me see on the chat, I can see some answers. Divide the groups and put the team leader and make the presentation after the work. Okay. So that's good. Thank you, Helenina, for that. Kamara?
So for me, every time we are doing sessions, that we have people that are not so, they don't talk. Sometimes there are people that are a bit afraid of talking in front of people. And I used to do like a motivation game. I think I can call it like this. And a game that everyone should express himself, and we laugh a bit, and then we come back to the session. Sometimes they get relaxed and they start speaking.
So I like what you guys are coming up with. Yes, these are like the various ways to get people to talk. And I'd like to tell you that all your answers are correct. So one of the other ways is how you are communicating with the people, right? Like now on this platform, even as we're speaking, you can find that I keep acknowledging what you guys are saying. I keep repeating what you guys are saying. And these are some of the things we were telling you even during the research process you should do. Be attentive to what people are saying, encourage, right? And also you can just decide to like pick out someone, okay? You encourage them to speak out. Like someone you've seen very quiet, just say, Sarah, I'd like to hear your opinion, because you might find Sarah is quiet, but she has this idea in her that if you don't give her the chance to speak out, it will go, okay? Also, when you see people seated in a room and you have also entered that room for the first time and you're engaging with these stakeholders, and every time I keep saying stakeholders, I mean the people who are directly in contact with the project that you're handling, the people who will be directly affected by those solutions. Those are the people I keep saying are the stakeholders. So when you enter a room and you find them seated, mingle them, okay? Just get people up, the way Kamara was saying, play a game that eventually you will find that Jacinta is not seated next to Sarah. We are both think placers, but we are on opposite sides of the room. So that I can, even as we are thinking about group work, I can share my ideas out with another group, and Sarah also gets an opportunity to speak out in another group, through mixing us. Don't let us all be seated in one way, or you will find most of us are talking, some of us are not, and you might miss out on very good ideas, okay? So I'm coming to the end, and yeah, okay, I'm coming to the end so that I don't take too much of the time. I wanted to show you the ways in which you can be able to do the ideation. And here it talks about the brainstorming part. Brainstorming is you collectively generate as many ideas as possible. And if you can see the picture beneath, it shows a flip chart that has been posted with very many sticky notes, okay? There's a chart, let me just make sure I'm not missing, okay? Taffy, I've seen your point. At times we deal with people we know. Knowing that Taffy doesn't speak or contribute, we start from the top. During self-introduction, one has to give their expectations, and as a facilitator, I will keep referring to the person and the expectations. That's very good, Taffy. That's actually one of the points that I was giving you, just to be able to keep bouncing back what people are saying back to you as you're speaking. You're calling them by their name. You're giving them self-assurance that the space they are in is safe for them to speak out, for them to share, and continuously just throwing positive vibes, okay? Continuously saying no answer is wrong, encourage everybody to speak out, okay? So yes, so we're talking about means and ways, and one was brainstorming. So when you're generating ideas, generate creative solutions and identify the most promising solutions. So you do brainstorming, and then you cluster them. You cluster those ideas. And when you're clustering, you're looking at, most of the time you'll find people think almost the same line of thought. That's what I can tell you. So you find, we are trying to find a solution to water. One person says, let's dig a well. Another person says, let's, what can I say? Let's get tanks to fill with water and then supply. People are thinking of storage methods. Okay, I'm just trying to say, one of the ways that your ideas, as you're brainstorming, even if you're in different groups, some of them end up looking more or less the same. Okay, your lines of thoughts are almost the same, and that's why after we write them down, we cluster them. Okay, and then the group votes for the best. And once the voting is done, then you start developing the prototypes. And you'll be able to see this as we are moving. Can see someone in the chat? Okay, I hope Herenena can assist me to translate. What's on the chat? Yeah. So, rules. Some of the rules that I can tell you, and this you can see even from the lady who presented, delay judgment, you know, do not hurry to say what seems good or what seems bad. You never know where a good idea will come from, okay? So don't be quick to shut down someone who has asked you to buy tanks and then take someone who has asked you to dig a well, you know, and you say the well looks better than the tanks. Don't be quick to turn down someone's idea, okay? Rethink it. Try and ask, dig deeper to know why this person is giving out this solution, okay? Then it says encourage innovative and bold ideas. Innovative ideas, even those that seem crazy, can often rise to solutions that change the world. Think of the Richard Branson, right? I hope I pronounced his name well. Would he have known that he could have come up with an airline? It looked very crazy for most people, even if you know, because he already had competitors, there are already airlines that exist. And so what would make his stand out, you see? But he didn't. It was an idea that he was up to the task to go through with it. And this is how far it has come for him. So don't encourage, okay, encourage innovative and bold ideas. And then actively build on the ideas of others. Think about how their ideas could be even more effective. So you hear someone say, let's create, like when I was telling you guys about the family planning, the one that we were having youth, the one that we were encouraging young girls, young boys to go and access these facility services because we saw this was what was best for them, because we know youth are sexually active, right? And so a solution could have been, let's just make 2 lines. Have elderly people, sorry for the noise in the background, sorry for that. Have elderly people queue on 1 line, have youth queue on 1 line. But when we dug deeper to understand why the youth or why the stakeholder who gave out that solution, what was the idea behind it, you found that they were trying to find a way to make that youth feel comfortable. Yeah. And when we continued to dig deep, that's when they were like, if you seclude, if you find a way to put this youth in a different path to enter a facility, they can be able to come for these services as often as possible. Okay, so it says actively build on the ideas of others. So through digging deep into the ideas, the solution became long-term and one that people are willing to use. Okay, stay focused on the question. Remember, by the time you're ideating, you already know what the problem is. So you already have that that idea. This is kind of the question that we are trying to find an answer to. Okay, so stay focused. Every time someone is pinpointing something, relate it back to kind of the challenge that you're trying to solve. And then there is be visual. Okay, communicate your idea with images. And that's why you see on the left hand side that there are so many colorful sticky notes written there in a lot of wordings are on them. Those are ideas people came up with. But be creative as far as wanting to draw, as far as wanting to put an image, okay? And then it's quantity that counts. Strive to create as many as possible before you settle on 1 or 2 or 3. Make sure you have encouraged people to talk. And so as we are closing, I'd like to do this activity with you, okay? And I just want to ask, how do you empty a glass of water without touching it? So this glass in front of you has water. You want to empty it without touching the glass. We are closing. I just want to hear your thoughts on how you think you can be able to empty the glass of water in front of you without touching the glass.
You use a straw.
Okay, which other way can we do it? Thank you for that answer. Anyone else? Someone has said straw pipe. So you guys take water every day. Imagine you have a glass in front of you that has water and you want to take the water without touching the glass. I will use a straw. Oh, you can see most people are saying the straw idea. So nobody else has another idea.
Use a glove.
Use a glove. Okay, interesting. You blow it. Okay. Okay. And so moral of the activity is there are so many ways that you can be able to solve a certain problem, but give people an opportunity to speak out. And so I don't know if Ebenezer dropped out. I could hear his thoughts about the solutions he had. And I also, Sarah, I think also you had him talking of planting trees, climate change topic. And for me, I was wondering, has he done the research? So you guys, now that you're here and you're hearing, we are now at ideation process. It would be, for me, I wouldn't say, it would be funny if you already have solutions, yet we are not sure whether you have already gone to the ground and carried out your research and gotten your insights, because we were moving through a step-by-step process. So I'd just like to kind of want you guys to go back to the work that we did previously, okay? And then look at the topic you have. If you're at the solution stage, it means you have ideated, you have gone to the community, you have asked, you have done the research, you have asked them the question, you have done this stakeholder meeting that we have talked about today. You have been able to now start prototyping, and you have settled for a solution. And this is why I was kind of surprised at how far Ebenezer is. Okay. And for the rest of you, I'd like to also maybe kind of have an idea. Are you as far as he has gone? and have you been able to follow through with the steps? Okay. And so if you've noticed that maybe through what we have done today, you find that maybe you didn't follow through the steps, then now is your opportunity to go back and correct yourself. Okay. Try and correct yourself so that we get to be at par. Okay. And so before I close and give back to Lawrence and Lloyd, I'd like to know if there are any questions, if someone is feeling lost, if you have learned something today. Yeah, it's 12:43, so I want to close. Paul?
Yeah, so please, I would like to know whether we can give us a kind of schedule of what we are going to see next week.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, it's something we can be able to project so that you can know the topic that comes ahead. Yeah, it's something we can be able to now project to you in terms of the topics so that you can be able to prepare for the next one. Anyone else with another comment? Oh, wow, Kamara, thank you for your comments. I learned a lot from the session and I would like to say thank you. You're most welcome. I just want you to have an idea of what ideation is. Keep to mind who to involve. And remember, it's a process. Remember to give everyone's voice a chance to be heard. And yeah, just give everybody's voice a chance to be heard. No challenge does not have a solution. And yeah, these are some of the things I want you to keep in mind. I'll also share out the presentation and the 2 videos for you to keep listening through, so that even as we go through to the next session, you will be able to understand. Please look through what Dr. Katindi has been teaching you and also remind yourself of the past, so that by the time we're getting to the next class, we're not confused. We don't drop this ball. We are almost coming to the end, and this far we should all be together in one page. I don't know if Sarah has something before we give it to Lloyd.
No, that's good, Jacinta.
Okay. And so I'd like to give it back to Lawrence and Lloyd. I don't know if they're at a good internet place now to speak.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
I'm here with the law
Oh, no.
training, and we just saw Deborah from Ethiopia. But thank you so much for the session today, Jacinta.
Okay.
Really looking forward to next Saturday. Even though I got here a little late because Lloyd had to start the training because I was running some errands. So let's see what the following Saturday will look like. But and let's keep talking. Just in case anything, just let us know. Thank you so much for today. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so I'd like to say thank you to all the students. Kindly catch up on the notes, catch up on your assignments, and review all the sessions that we have done. I'll try and set up a trivia question next week and put you into groups, because I don't want to lose any of you. You're all good students. You're all very capable. You've all learned on HCD. You're doing well. Okay, you're doing well. For everybody, every trying, when you're starting something, even when you're building a house, sometimes the foundation can be shaky, but when you get a good contractor, you're able to build the house well. So me and Sarah are at your disposal. Reach out anytime through WhatsApp, or through our emails, and we can be able to guide you. So if you need to like bounce off on the topics that you have, bounce off on how far you are with your research, how far you are with your projects, we are able to do this with you, because we want you to have a good finish in the end. So I'd like to say good afternoon to everybody and have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.